Hey guys, I'm Kitty and my co-host is Amber, and welcome back to the Brown Girls Guide podcast. We are in season 4, if I'm not mistaken, of this podcast, and we're happy to be back. Amber, how are you? Welcome back. How's 2022 been so far?
Hi, it's so nice to be back. And I can't believe it's already Feb. It still feels like the 3rd of March. The 3rd of Jan. Like, I don't feel like this year even kicked off yet. In my mind, I'm still like wrapping up last year. But I'm fine. I don't know if I mentioned in our last episode for last year, I did move once again.
I think you did.
I'm always saying I've just moved. I've just moved.
Well, this is a big one.
Yeah, this is a big one. This was across the country, but I feel good and I feel nice and settled in. I'm also very grateful that I'm not sweating 24/7 like you guys are in Cape Town. Yeah. How are you, Kelly?
I'm good. I can't complain. Also cannot believe that it's Feb. This morning I sat with my planner. I'm trying to be very good at planning this year. This morning I sat with my planner outside in the yard, in nature, whatever. And I tried to intentions for the month and just be like, okay, it's a new month, new goals, new whatever, which is actually a very good segue into introducing our guest. But before we get there, are you drinking anything, Amber? Because I'm drinking a gin and tonic. No, I'm lying. I'm drinking a gin and soda stream water.
That's yummy. I love a gin. What I'm having is something I've been having like almost every weekend. It's the House of JC Leroux's like little cans. I wanted to get House of B&G because I obviously love Bonang, but the budget was saying, let's go for $84.99. Let's go that route. So I'm having, and I think I feel a little bit touched by it already, but I think it's because I've been sweating all day and I did a workout this morning that I wasn't anticipating. Just segue into a random thing I have to tell you. So this year I vowed to like make more of my gym. Like normally I'll go to the gym and I'll go and do my own little thing. Yeah. But I thought there's so many different classes and things you can join. There's like the yoga studio, there's nice instructors you can work with. So I decided to go this morning to like the dance class, thinking like it's gonna be like a Zumba thing. Like you're gonna
it's nice. It's vibe.
Kelly, it was giving honey, it was giving step up. The instructor was lovely, but I think she thought like we signed up to like do a competition, because if you got something wrong, she would like stop. You have to go again and again. So by the time I left, I was freaking sweating, and now I know a whole dance routine to Jerusalem, in case you want me to show you.
That's for a YouTube video at some point down the line.
Well, that's a very roundabout way of saying I'm having JC Leroux and I'm a bit tired and sweaty today.
Okay. Anyway. Well, good to know. Good to know. Well, I feel like we've both sort of like touched on that. We've set new goals and ambitions for ourselves for this year. And just to help us along with that and everyone else, our guest for today is Celine Newman. Selina, welcome to our podcast. Could you say hi, but also just tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Hello, and hello to your listeners, and thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I have loved this little chat in the beginning, and talking about gym and goals. I'm very excited to be talking about that today. So a little bit about me is I am in Cape Town, very hot Cape Town at the moment.
Yep.
And my background is in human resources and development, and I have always enjoyed working with people, especially one-on-one through coaching. And so I started my coaching business in 2018. And the idea is really to help people move into careers and jobs that they find fulfilling or that's aligned to their passion and their purpose. Often we think that we have to stay in jobs because we studied for it, or there's nothing else, or the market's not great. And I think that there's so much more that we can do with our time than to be in a job that we don't love. So that is my mission, is to help people get into jobs that they love and careers that they love. I am married. I love setting goals. I love structure. I enjoy those kinds of things. I love outdoors and nature. And yeah, my health goals for this year is also about getting more exercise done. So Amber, I hear you about the gym workout and using that membership to the fullest.
I will use this as an opportunity to say that I signed up for an 8-week challenge. It's a health and fitness challenge, and it starts next week. So wish me luck. And I paid like good money for it, so I better stick to it. So
can I tell you something, Kelly? When you told me that, you actually inspired me. And I also joined one with this trainer that, I speak to you about nonstop. Yeah. So because I already have some of her plans and stuff.
You say Rishta. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it's Rishta.
Everyone knows I love Rishta. Like I talk about it all. Embarrassing. Like she probably thinks I'm a fangirl at this point. But since I have some of the stuff already, I paid like a lower rate to join this 4-week challenge thing. So it started yesterday, and it feels nice to have, like, even though this isn't like I'm not going to like weigh myself with immense pleasure on myself, but it feels nice to be working towards feeling better,
Yeah. And that's really my goal, but for me, it's more a case of I want to eat better just in the long term and not just like do like a fad diet now and then lose 10 days and then pick it up like 6 months from now. But those are our fitness goals. But for this episode, we will speak about life and career goals. So Selina, we'll jump straight into an interview, a chat, I guess. And we'll kick off with the first question. Just, is it important to set goals in life and in your career?
If you're asking me, yes, absolutely. But it really depends on the individual. I think some people are really successful and they don't often set goals or goals in the way that we set goals. Like you sat down today and you planned your month, etc. Some people are like, just this is my intention for the year and I'm going to work towards it, and I don't have to set specific goals and make sure that they're smart, etc., etc.
Okay, nice.
For me, I like structure. So I like a roadmap to see, okay, so these are my milestones and these are the steps that's going to get me to that desired future. But it's different for everyone. How do you guys feel about goal setting? Do you think it's important?
I'm going to hand over to Amber first because I've chatted a lot. And also I need time to marinate.
I find goal setting to be something that I wish I could do. Like I want to think that I'm good at it because I know it's beneficial. I know why it's beneficial. But whenever we talk about like New Year's resolutions, for example, I always, instead of making a list, just choose like one theme to work towards, because the minute I give myself, I like to be ambitious and I write down like a million goals that I want to achieve, but I don't think I'm always the most realistic about it. And then I set myself up to be disappointed, where I think it would be helpful for me to know like where to even like get started, making these goals. How do you know something is realistic for you, and how do you set goals without doing something that's not challenging enough, that doesn't push you out of your comfort zone? So I struggle finding that balance when I'm setting goals.
I think I struggle with setting like career goals. Like life goals for me are easier. Like we have, I'd say like a 10-year life goal. Obviously we have like shorter life goals as well, but we have like a 10-year life goal, and like life goals are easier also because they're more fun. But I struggle with career goals, and I find that because I don't make career goals, I don't know like the why of my job, basically, if that makes any sense. Like I enjoy the work that I do, but you can also like find yourself like waking up like, oh, like why am I doing this again today? Like what am I actually working towards? So I find it difficult to set career goals. Also, I just don't know what I want my next career goal to be. I know what my next like step in this company is, and I'm wondering if that's the step I want to take. I'm pretty sure our bosses don't listen to this podcast.
I believe they do.
Okay, well, hi. It's not that I want to step out. It's just that I don't know if that is the particular like step that I want. Only because I feel like it's just more of the same. It's not vastly different from what we do now. And there's a lot more like shit to take, if that makes sense. And I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go. I mean, I'm not getting any younger. I'm like 34 now. I'm gonna say I'm in my early 30s still, but I want to. It's not that I want to get serious about my career. I would just like to put it on like a path where I can like see myself actually moving like forward on it with confidence and in a way that I enjoy, to be honest.
I really like what you said about setting sort of one goal or one intention and working towards that, because we all can get into that January thing, right? Like, oh, it's a new year, new intentions, let's go wild. And I know I've done this in the past where I've got like 20 things, like 2 pages of all of the things I'm going to achieve this year. And sure, by Feb, I'm like, okay, I'm done. This is too hard. I'm not doing it. And then what you find is that you live that year over again, because now you start again in January because life happens and things go on, and you start again in January the next year and you're like, oh, what am I going to do this year? And so being intentional about what you want to do and where you want to focus your time is important, because it helps you to not relive a year or live that year over, And then, Kelly, just in terms of career goals, I think when you were talking, I was thinking about road trips. I know you like road trips, but do you guys ever just get in the car and not know where the next petrol station is or where you're going to sleep tonight? I know there's some sort of fun thing about not knowing where you're going to sleep tonight, but I'm structured. I want to know where we're going to sleep tonight.
I mean, the idea appeals to me on like some level, but also I would say I'm spontaneous, but I'm spontaneous as long as things are like really carefully planned along the way. Not spontaneous at all. The idea is nice, but I would never just get in a car and like not know what, at least a glimmer of a plan.
Yeah. And I think if you think about that in terms of a road trip that you really love, if you think about your career and you're not setting any goals at the moment, and it sounds like you're just not sure about what the next step is, but that might just require a little bit of conversation with somebody to sort of hash it out, like what the options are, etc. But what you're doing is you kind of getting in the car and you're just sitting there because you have no idea where you're going, where the route, what to put in the GPS and things like that. And I think for me, goals are like that. It's like a guidance. It's like guiding me to what my next step is. And it doesn't have to be the full journey, just the next step.
Yeah. And that's actually the next question. What we put down is, how do you even start setting these goals? Like, does it start with a pen and a paper? Is it a conversation? Like, where do you begin?
It can definitely be all of the above. I like to start the year with a reflection, so a journaling or a writing exercise. And I wrote down some questions that I would ask myself. And if your listeners want to grab a pen, they can, or they can just come back and listen again. But I would ask myself these questions. So when I'm thinking about goals for the year, or some people like to do sort of birthday goals, right? Like, this is my birthday, and between now and my next birthday, these are the things I want to achieve. So it doesn't have to be January goals. It can be whenever you feel like it's time for something different. So some of the questions that I would ask is, what do I want my life to look like 12 months from now? And I always separate life and career. And then I'll say, okay, so what do I want my career to look like 12 months from now? If I had unlimited resources like time, money, etc., how would I spend my time? What would I be doing? If I was offered my dream job tomorrow, what would that look like? And then what does success look like for me? And this changes for us all the time. So when things in our life change, so when we get married or we have children or we decide to give up everything and travel the world, then success will look different and it will have a different meaning for us. So it's important to ask yourself this regularly to make sure that you're still on track. And then what would you do differently now if you knew you were guaranteed success? Like, if you knew you wouldn't fail. And I think Brené Brown came up with the version of that question, and I really love it. Like, if I knew I was guaranteed to succeed, what would I be doing differently? So that's where I would start in terms of goals, because all of that is going to give you, in terms of setting goals, all of that is going to give you data. It's going to tell you, oh, actually, that's different to what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Or I never thought that that's something that I was interested in. But if you give ourselves space to think and space to just be present with ourselves, to see what do we want in life, what do we want in our career, then, those things might come up. So, Kelly, I don't know how you feel about reflection exercises and writing exercises, but is that something that you could spend some time on?
I tried this morning, and so this morning, like I literally took like 20 minutes, and I just made myself a cup of coffee. I sat at the bench in the yard. It was cool. It was before like Satan released hell on Satan. So it was a nice, like relaxed morning, and I did that, and I felt that was important. Perhaps what I did wrong was that I took my tablet with me, and my phone, and those were distractions. But I think if I just left it with if I had just have taken that moment without my electronics that are like massive distractions to me, that it would have gone it would have been easier. It wasn't a difficult task, but I was easily distracted. And I do think it's important to maybe like make time in your day or your week to do those reflections. Because like once your day gets started, it's like it's over. It's especially like in our line of work, like if you start your day and you log into your emails and you start talking to clients or media, you're not going to find another time to actually make that happen. Which was actually going to, something you said made me think, it's a similar question, but is it important to like have a dedicated time slot where you just like sit and you think about these things and you focus on it?
Yeah, if you have a dedicated time slot, then it means that you will stick to it, because now you know every day or every Friday or once a month, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to reflect on the month. So what I did on Monday was I had a sort of day, a business CEO day. I don't really like the word CEO, but it's called a CEO day. So you kind of reflect on January, and January didn't. I had a very slow sort of intro into this year intentionally, but I still sat down and I reflected and I looked at my stats and I looked at what felt good, what didn't feel good, what did I start, where did I spend money, and those kinds of things. So I have it once a month, but on a daily basis at the end of the day, maybe when I get into bed, I won't necessarily write it down, but I'll think about what was good today, because I want that to be my final thought at the end of the day. So you almost want to think about how can I build habits around my goal and what's going to work for you. Some people don't want to reflect on a daily basis, and that's okay. But would a weekly process work for you, or a monthly process work for you? You have to find what feels good for you. Otherwise, you're not going to stick to it.
I'm just making notes.
Kelly's fully applying this to her life from this evening.
Notes as we do. Also for the show notes, when I'm making things.
But I think these are good things to hear, because these aren't the kind of things, well, for me personally, I wasn't taught this growing up. So I wasn't told, like, our next question is like, what exactly is like an example of a life goal or a career goal? Especially like Kelly mentioned earlier, she kind of knows what the next step is looking like, but she doesn't know if that's what she actually wants to do. So what is an example, like, what are some examples of life goals that we could set for ourselves? Or is it not easy to just give a general idea?
No, absolutely. If you think about life goals, think about the things that impact you directly. So what is it that impacts you directly? It's money, it's relationships, it's your health. And we spoke a little bit about health goals and getting healthy and joining programs and things like that. Personal development, family, hobbies, fun activities that you like to do. Those are all things that impact you personally. And so if you set goals around that, it could be like this year or going into 2022, I want to save 10% more because next year I'd like to travel, for example, or I want to save 10% more because I've looked at my finances or my pension fund and it doesn't look so good. So if I increase that, then, it will help later on. So it's really about thinking about your life and going, what can I improve on? Or what do I want to start that's going to be fun and exciting? Like if it was a hobby, I want to learn to play the piano. Could be a goal that you set for yourself because that's something that you're really passionate about, or be part of a dance group. So it's something that's going to impact you, that you want to change or improve, that's going to make you feel better about life as it is now.
For sure. I think that's great. I don't think I'll join a dance group anytime soon. Not because of me. I think they would.
Unless they were dancing to Jerusalem, then sorted.
You could tell why they chose Jerusalem. Like, I went at such an odd time. It was just like the tannies, that like played home. Like, it was all these old white tannies. And I was like, okay, obviously they love Jerusalem. So the instructor probably thought this is going to appeal to them. But yeah, anyways.
So
and then career goals.
Yeah.
Sorry, do you want me to touch on career goals? So career goals those can be like anything if you think about changing careers. So I left corporate for the second time last year, and the goal at the beginning of the year was to leave my job because I wanted to fully focus on my business. And the job was a consulting job, so it wasn't even sort of a full-time job, but I felt like my attention was split and felt it was a full-time job, actually. Yes. It's never 3 days when they say it's 3 days. So that was sort of a goal I set for myself last year, and at the end of December, or in December, I handed in my notice and I was done, right? So changing careers, so you're an accountant now and you're really passionate about yoga, and so becoming a yoga teacher. That's changing career, so that's one. And then continuing your studies, so in line with your job. So sometimes we want to learn things and it's outside of our job, like interior decorating it's not part of my job, but it's maybe something that I'm interested in, and so I'll spend some on that, and that will be part of our life goals. But from a work perspective, is if I want to continue my studies, is maybe I only have completed my undergrad and I want to study complete my postgrad. So I'll set a goal to complete that for myself. Okay. So yeah, those are some career goals you could say.
I really need to work on career goals this year. I feel like that is really, I feel like it's because your career or your job, it takes up like so much of your time and so much of your energy that if you're not actually like setting goals for yourself or something to look forward to, at least, it can too easily be something you resent actually doing. And it will just drain you of your energy, because you spend 8 hours a day doing this work. That's just working hours, but then after work you spend more time worrying about the next day or next week or a big project. So it takes so much of your energy that I just feel like I need to set some career goals. I don't know how to do it. Isn't that I don't know how to do it. I don't know what those goals will be. I need to have a think about that, but I need to set these career goals.
I think a large part of my career, just so happy to be in the room. I was so happy to be there. I wasn't thinking about the next step. I was just like, oh my God, I'm working for this agency or this company. I'm just so grateful I'm here as a PR person. I wouldn't even look beyond that. And I think it just wasn't in me to be. And I was ambitious, but I wasn't strategic about what I wanted to do next in my career. And now I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, I've been at this company for a while now. It's, to the point where our bosses are asking me, what do you want to do? And I keep saying girl, I'm just happy to be here. I don't know.
I'm gonna bring color into this. I'm sorry, I have to, because I don't know what I read recently where it's as people of color, as women of color especially, we're just so happy to have a seat at the table, whatever that table may be. Or we're just so happy to be in the room that we forget that we actually matter, that we can focus on ourselves, that we can want to improve ourselves within the space that we find ourselves in. Because I don't know if conditioned is the right word, but I'm going to use it anyway. We are sort of conditioned to just be grateful for what we've got.
Exactly.
That we're almost too scared to ask for more or to want more. And therefore we don't just set those ambitious goals for ourselves. I can't speak for all women of color, but certainly me. So I think that has a lot to do with it, because I suppose in this company, not as much, because if I wanted to do something, I guess I could ask for it. But in previous roles, if I felt overly ambitious, I never felt empowered to actually speak up. I was just okay, no, just be grateful that you're here.
Just be happy you're here. Yeah. You're getting a salary. You are in the room.
Yeah.
Just sit there and eat your food, basically.
Basically.
That is, I want to say corporate structure, and I don't want to say anything bad about corporate, but there's a lot to learn in corporate. And some corporates do it really well and some not. But I feel like it's that thing about you have a job, you get paid your salary, so what more do you want? But as individuals, we must want more for ourselves and not expect that more to come from a corporate or from an employer. Yeah. Because if we don't know what we want, if we don't know how we see our career sort of unfolding or what this ladder is for us, and it doesn't have to be the traditional one, then how will they know what to offer us, right? So if your employer was listening, she'd be like, but what can I do for you, possibly? But if you're not able to answer that, then it's going to be difficult for them to give you that opportunity. So I think, yes, sometimes, and I know at the beginning of my career, I was very grateful for a job. Like, I just wanted a job. I needed to pay the bills, and absolutely. But later on, as you grow and as you sort of invest in personal development and work with mentors and coaches and those kinds of things, you start to think differently. You start to think about, I have to be in control here. Mm-hmm. I have to make the decisions. And whatever I decide, I have to be okay with. So I have to trust that things are going to work out if I leave or if I stay and I do this, and etc. So we have to sort of take back control, and it starts with each individual.
Okay, well, I've got lots to think about in terms of my career goals, so I will move us on. How can we, or just people in general, how can we hold ourselves accountable, like, to our own goals and milestones? Because I often find it difficult. That, like, I will set a goal, but I'll also be like really flaky about meeting those goals. So
especially because nobody's going to know this is your goal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit and tell people in organic conversation, like, guys, by Q2, I really want to up my, like, no one's going to know. It's just between me and my journal. So
yeah.
It's tough.
So for me, it's about doing the work up front, right? It's about, is this something that I want to do? Like, is this my goal? Often we start January because our partner's like, hit the ground running, he's exercising, he's eating healthy. I mean, if I tell you that my husband, John, and I we're on this 10-day detox thing, which is not, it's been really good. I feel really good, but sure.
Explains why we can't do dinner this week. Explains why.
Yes. And we started, I think last Thursday, it's just 10 days, but I promise you, leading up to that, I ate every sugar sweet thing that I could get my hands on. But he, on the other hand, he just got in it. He was just like, weeks before that, I'm done with alcohol, I'm done with whatever we can't have anymore. And he got in, and sometimes we feel pressured into the goal. And so then we don't stick to it, right? Because now I'm like, I have to give it up, and it's not really for me, and it's not really what I want to do. And so you kind of fall off the wagon. So that's important. Make sure that the goal is aligned. It's something that you want to do. And then you want to set yourself up for success. If it's healthy eating, make sure that there's nothing in the house that's going to sabotage your diet. That's the journey you're on. If it's exercising on a daily basis or 3 times a week, make sure you have your things ready. Make sure it's in your calendar. Make sure that you set up for success, right? And then it's to build habits. I love this book by, what's it called? Atomic Habits by James Clear. A really, really good book. And I'm happy to share it with you, Kelly. I don't know if I have it in hard copy or online, but it's a really, really good book.
I don't know if you can see me making notes on.
Yes. And so he says you start with small things, and you build it into what you are doing on a daily basis. So you're not sort of starting this new thing on its own, right? You build it into what you're doing. So I want to, my intention for this year is to start my day on a positive note, to fill it with positive things. So I listened to a Steve Jobs, his commencement speech that's online on YouTube, and I listen to that every morning. It's about 15 minutes. Before, I would say, okay, I must listen to it. But the minute I leave the room, I'm like, everything else happens. Okay, so coffee, lunches, etc. Right? So now at night, I take my headphones into the bedroom. When the alarm goes off, I put the headphones on and I listen to it. And so I know, okay, when I step out of bed, then life can go on. But I've already done this one thing that I've committed to And then I think find an accountability partner. I think that really helps. If you have someone that you can phone or message. For my business, I have an accountability that too. And we meet once a month. We set goals, we review goals that we set in the month before. And if I get stuck during the week, I'll go like, guys, I know I'm supposed to do this week. I can't. I feel stuck. I don't think I can do it. And then I've got these people phoning me, sending me messages saying, but what is it? What's wrong? And then we think through it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, not so big. Let me move on and you can continue on your journey. And then the last thing I think is important is to track your progress. So on a weekly basis, ask yourself, what went well? What didn't go well? What do I need to change going into the next week? But that reflection it's part of our learning cycle, is that we go out and we do, we come back and we reflect. We think about what can we do differently, and then we go out again and we do. So we're not doing the same thing over and over and not getting anywhere, right? So those are the things that I think to hold yourself accountable are the things that I would put in place.
I feel like an accountability partner is a good idea. So just like,
and also I think like I have like my best friends, like I know they'll be great accountability partners, but they also are very great enabling partners. They'll be like, no, friend, you work so hard. Like, because we have way more sympathy for our friends who we love than we do for ourselves. So obviously you're going to be kind and understanding, even to like the person's detriment. So this wasn't one of the questions, but I'm just thinking about it. How do you become like a good accountability partner for someone?
Choose an accountability partner also.
Yeah. You definitely want to choose somebody that you know is going to be honest with you. And we know our friends, right? I know who I can go to that's not going to do Amber like your friends. Like, no, it's okay, take the time. I know exactly that person. I will not go to that person. But I know if I tell John I want to do this, will you hold me accountable? He's like Joel Sargent. He's like, okay, when, how, what,
Calvin.
So it's really about knowing who your friends are. And then also to do the same is if you have a good relationship with someone, then they will understand. Or you can even contract. Actually, this is probably better, is contract with your friend up front and say, what do you need, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want me to be your accountability partner, what do you need from me? How do you need me to show up? What are the things that you want me to do when you fall off the wagon? Like, do you want me to continue to say, no, you need to do it? Or do you want me to go, okay, let's go for drinks. It's okay. We can start again tomorrow. And so in that way, you know how to be a good accountability partner because you've contracted, and they know they can rely on you to help them when they get really stuck on this journey.
I'd be the worst accountability partner. I want you both to know that right now. Because I hate confrontation so much. So like, if you're like falling off the wagon, I'm like, no, you need to stick to it. And you're like, but I really can't. And I just feel like there's going to be like a negative. I'm like, okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. So you do you. It's fine. Have that cupcake.
So funny.
So
I would be the same, I think. And also I would feel just like, these are your goals. Who am I to like force you to do these things?
Yeah. I'll be like, I don't really know. I mean, like maybe you had a tough day. Like maybe you actually can't go do that like 2K run that you said you're going to do today. So I'll be like, no, it's fine. Have the nap, rather. Have the nap.
A good question to ask is, how would you feel if you didn't do it? How would you feel tomorrow knowing that you didn't go for your 2K run? And chances are, if you're really committed to it, you're probably going to feel bad. And so it's a thing about, why don't you go try it for 5 minutes? If after 5 minutes it still doesn't feel good, then stop. Then maybe today is really not the day. But try. And then there are moments where you know your friend is going through a difficult time and a challenging time, and maybe doing a dance class is not the right thing. And so then maybe what can we do instead? You know, would you like to go for a walk if you guys are in close proximity? What else will make you feel sort of motivated and encourage you to continue on this journey? So I find just going back with questions instead of just giving in, which is sometimes easy to do because, you know, we also have our own lives and things are hectic and our own goals. But I think just saying, what do you need from me right now? Like, how can I help you?
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you need to track like your progress. But if like your goal is vague, like I want to grow in my job as an example, which I do want to do. I just want my boss to know that. I want to put that on the record.
I feel like the more Kelly says this, the less I believe it. Kelly, are we going to play some new careers?
I do want to grow in my job, but it's like quite vague. So like, how do you measure? If I've set that goal at the beginning of the year, how do I measure, let's say in April, whether or not I'm on the path to achieving this goal or not?
You won't know. For me, if I set a goal to say, I want to lose weight this year, I'm going to spend the whole year trying to lose weight. I'll probably get to December and be like, oh, what did I say I want to do again? And what did I weigh in January? And like, maybe I lost some weight? Your goals have to be specific. It has to be clear. It has to be clear for you so that you know, okay, if I'm setting milestones to get to this end goal, what will they be? What are the steps that I have to create to get to that end goal, right? So your goal it can be vague, but it's not really going to help you. So what I like to ask my clients is, if we're sitting and we often spend an entire session, which can only be 60 or 90 minutes, and we talk about the goal, because we have to be really clear that this is the thing that you want to work on and that you're investing time on to work on over the next 3 months that we're working together, right? So I'll say, okay, so define what that means for you. What does it mean to grow in your career? And if you're not sure, think about the industry that you're in. When people are at my level, what is the next level that they're going to? And how does that feel? Is that something that I would like to do? And if it feels icky, then that's probably not it. So now we go, okay, so what might that look like for you? Want to grow in my career? What might that look like? And you can ask yourself, what might that look like for me? And be okay with whatever comes up. And remember, you don't have to share this with anyone, but if I'm sitting with you in coaching, then we are talking about it.
Yeah.
And then another question is, how will you know when you've achieved that goal? And that's just the thing. If you haven't defined grow in my career or what that might look like, then how will you know that you've achieved it? And then the last question I would ask is, or another question I would ask is, how will your career or job be different once you've achieved this goal?
I think
how will I be
making
different?
notes.
But you're making notes. Awesome.
I'm happy to share this with you.
Yes, please.
I'm really happy to share this with you.
I think an important thing that you mentioned was that you can have this goal and it could be vague or it could be like really specific. But what you mentioned over and over is that you actually have to also like set the steps to reach that goal. Like you can't just be like, okay, I want to get a promotion in April, and then I just do like my everyday work without actually being like, okay, no, I'm going to maybe pitch creative ideas or strategic ideas like every month, or I'm going to like set up a meeting with the MD and share insights or thoughts or whatever. So I think an important thing that you mentioned is that you actually have to put like steps in place to meet your goals. You can't just like set the goal and then let the universe take the wheel. Like it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work like that. No. Sit on the couch and wait. No.
Yeah.
So I know we've spoken and joked about accountability partners, which are actually a very, very good idea. But is there something else we can do to monitor our progress in reaching our goals?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many things available either on the internet. You can download a tracker. You can create your own tracker. Or you can download an app. So I have an app for my finances. I use 22/7. It's a free app. I have all of my accounts linked to it, and I'm able to track my spend to see where I'm spending too much money on coffees.
I used to use that, but I didn't like what it told me.
Me too. I deleted it. I said no negativity in this space. I will not.
So that's one app I use. I really enjoy it. And then the other one that I use is my Discovery app. So to track my health, so how many times I exercised this week, did I meet my goal, etc. And then I use Insight Timer for meditations, and that tells me how many times I've meditated and per week or per month, etc., depending on what my goals are. So there's a lot. You can download a habit tracker. You can go into Excel, create your own habit tracker, and just really see how you are sort of tracking. And then questions to ask yourself at the end of each week is, I think I mentioned this earlier, is what worked well, what didn't work well, and what needs to change going into the next week or next month.
So definitely not 20-7, but it's a great idea.
Yeah, no, the notifications I got from 20-7 was just, I was like, no, I choose peace.
When they came with that net worth thing, I was like, listen, just okay, I don't need to know that I'm worth minus something.
But also like managing your finances is something we're going to speak about in another episode. Because it is something we actually need to do. And I do believe, like in apps, I think it's so much easier to set goals now. Not goals. It's so much easier to track your progress on your goals and the things you want to do now, because there are so many apps that help. So we'll list all the ones that you mentioned as well. Is there any other information or advice that you'd like to share with our listeners about setting goals, meeting these goals, and just holding yourself accountable?
So I have a sort of free download. If you want, I can share it with you. And it's really about the wheel of life. So if you struggle with what do I want to focus on this year, you can download it, and there's a whole sort of instruction something. So that's the one thing. Then there's 3 things I really want to share. The one is to start small. You want to maybe do 20 or 30 minutes exercise if that's your goal 3 times a week, instead of a 90-minute session today and then for the next 2 weeks you're so sore you can't do anything. So start small. And then what I think is important, and we didn't really talk about it because I think it's an entire episode and a much longer conversation, is
you can come back.
It's not to just focus on the actions required to achieve the goal, but also to pay attention to who I need to become in order to achieve my goals. So if you think about somebody who wants to go into a leadership role, for example, as a consultant, I show up as a version of myself, but as a leader responsible for other people and a people leader, I'm going to have to show up differently. Not I'm going to have to, I will show up differently. There's a different way that I'll engage with people. Now I'm more of a mentor and a guide instead of working side by side. So we have to think about who we need to become in order to achieve our goals. And then the last thing is, don't be afraid to change your goals. Just because you set it in January when everybody was setting their goals, now you feel you have to stick to it because maybe you shared it accidentally with someone. If it doesn't serve you or the life that you want, and if it's something that doesn't feel good, change it. Do something else.
I think that's important, because I feel like we all feel so tethered to our goals because we set them.
Yes. Yeah.
We set them at the beginning of the year with all this this passion, and I don't know what the word is. It's just like we want to be like committed to these goals, and then we realize in April that actually this is actually not the path I want to go down. And I feel like people need to know that it's okay to change your goals. Like it really, really is. You don't have to. I think, and when I mentioned this on the New Year's resolutions one last year, like, you can change your mind. We are human and we can change our mind about what we want. For all we know, like something happens in your life that actually makes you have to change your goals. Or you just decide that you just don't want to be financially secure anymore. I don't know, which is probably not a good goal, but still, yeah. You've given us a lot to think about. I certainly have a lot to think about. Tomorrow's little reflection session is going to be a good one.
I didn't have, like, Kelly, I saw your Instagram story, like you had a moment today where you're like, new month, new.
I did.
So I feel like I need to do that now because I've got all this information. I'm going to light a little incense and I'm going to do this evening and sit and think about what I want to achieve. Not career-wise, because right now we're just trying to get through it day by day, but life goals. I have a clear idea of where I want to be.
To set a career goal, because you shouldn't just be trying to get through it. But I mean, I'm saying this as though I'm going to go and set career goals now. I'm going to think about it for sure, because also our KPIs are coming up, so maybe it's a good time to set some career goals.
Start listing things, like everything you've done well since last year March. I'm planning to list everything. I'm going to say, guys, let's not forget A, B, C, D, E, F as motivation for my days. And I think
Well, Selina, thank you for joining us. We will leave your details in the episode description. We'll also share it on our social media, which everyone can find on Facebook and Instagram at Brown Girls Guide Pod and on Twitter at BGG Pod. But also we'll link your free download that you mentioned, and we will drop in all the questions and all the advice and all the thoughts that you've given us to think about. So thank you so much.
For sure.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's so nice to be here. You're welcome.
Please come back. We clearly need help.
Absolutely. I wanted to offer both of you a free coaching session, like an hour, to just talk to me about your career goals, because I feel like
so I'm free now. But that would be amazing.
I'm there. Thank you so much.
I'll share the link to my calendar. Really, I mean it. Let's have a conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. But that's just for us, guys. Anyone?
Yes.
The rest of you, we will leave a link to how you can book Selina professionally in all the description.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys, for our first episode of season 4. It feels so weird to say season 4, but thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it, because by now I'm sure we have our moms and at least 3 other people tuning in. So thank you so much. And we'll chat again. And remember, we are now every second week instead of every week. But you can catch us on socials for any other updates. And we'll chat to you guys soon. So until then, bye.
Bye.